to the Author's Corner. My name is Marisa Bludorn. I am your host. I'm also the editor-in-chief of Own It Magazine and Publishing, of which the Author's Corner is featured in. Taking center stage and owning it with me is the contributing writer team for Own It Magazine, Stephanie Malinch, Teresa Palmer, Tiffany, Jacqueline Lulu Brown is in the house. So excited to be here. This is the platform to really talk about getting our voice out there and getting heard. We talk about women and us having voices, but our voices not being heard. And you know what? This morning I woke up and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I never realized how much we are deflected. Wow, that conversation is going on and on, but that's a sidebar. Our voices need to be heard. The Author's Corner, a lot on literacy awareness through our Lit magazine. Of Tiffany's on the cover of our September issue. Dr. Madeline Lewis is on the cover of our October issue. And we really are focusing on literacy. This is important for us as authors, as publishers, because this is how our voices get heard through the publications and things that we write about and talk about. This month, Own It is focusing on, what are we focusing on? The season. So I believe in some parts of the world, the East Coast, y'all trying to hold on to the summer weather. I think it's getting ready to be 80 degrees over there, and what the heck? But you know what? It's funny because I don't believe the reports, and then we'll go into our topic. I don't believe the reports of record setting, because I can remember one, it being warm in October. I did cheerleading. So the reason is because as a cheerleader in this time of the year, you had to wear the short skirts for the football team, right? So you had to go out on the football team, on the football field, and you're in this short skirts, and it's freezing. So I remember what we called these was Indian summers. What happened to that? Like all of a sudden, it's bizarre that it's 80 degrees in October. Well, this is my birthday month. So I pay attention to that. And I'm saying, wow. And I remember it too, blizzards, a lot of blizzards. Why do we act like that's so new today? But anyway, that just letting you in my brain and all that stuff that's going on, listening to the news this morning. But we're talking about the seasons shifting, and in a seasons don't necessarily mean the weather. Seasons can be timing in our life, right? Seasons of when we're in a project, or when a demand or a pressure is being relieved, changing out of that to a season of relief, etc. And so to share your minds, this is open forum. Share what's on your heart and your mind in regards to what seasons are you in per se, and what season are you coming out as it pertains to the book publication. We have a lot going on with Own It in regards to the book publications. Teresa, I'm always starting with you. Teresa, let me know what's on your heart. Let me know what's on your heart, what's happening. What seasons are you sharing?
Well, I think right now there's a lot of transition. And I say that from a health perspective, from a technology perspective, and from an astrological perspective, because there's a lot of change. There's a lot of change in the atmosphere. There's a lot of change here. There's also a lot of chaos. And chaos also gives us opportunity. The Chinese word for chaos is opportunity. They don't say chaos, they say opportunity. And what we need to do is to take that chaotic energy and harness it and use it for something positive. And that could be to do a project that maybe you were thinking about writing a book, maybe you're thinking about starting a business. Actually, in chaotic times is the best times to do those things. And I'm not saying you're going to be ultimately successful, because success depends on how unique you are with your offering, because there is so much out there. But it's when you have the most energy. So if you could harness that energy. And right now in the United States, really globally, there's a lot of intense energy and there's a lot of uncertainty. And instead of feeding into that uncertainty, taking sides, trying to convince other people to get on your side or shout to make your voice known, what you can do is take that energy and use it constructively. So you harness it and you say, what could I do with that energy? And years ago, there was a book out called The Alchemist. And a lot of people thought it was about magic, but it's not. It's really about just taking the energy because we're all energy. Our bodies on the crudest level and on the simplest level are energy. And that's how everything works. It's an exchange of ions, it's a vibration, it's a chemical reaction. And that's what our body is. So if we could use what's going on around us and take that and bring it into us in a positive, how could I use more energy? And that's what I've been doing because I can't say I've been stuck because I don't like that word. I think it's more divine timing. And there were things that happened over the past couple of years that were preventing me from moving in a direction that I wanted to go in. And I write about that in the Year at a Glance in Own It magazine. I share a little bit of that story and how to turn that around and use it for your best good. So divine timing has a lot to do with it, and that's not linear. That's when really your soul knows that you're ready to do something. And you may not know that consciously because you may say, oh, I'm ready to do this. I want to launch this. I want to do this. But deep down inside you, your inner knowing, your soul knows that you're not ready to do that. So your soul doesn't let that happen yet. And we get mad about it and we say, oh, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and why isn't this happening? When really we need to sit back and look inside ourselves and ask ourselves what is going on inside of us and listen to that voice because we do have a voice in our heart that we usually shut out because we're conditioned to only think with our brain. And our heart actually has a brain. So if you could think with your heart and brain and get them on the same page, that's when you're the most aligned. And if you could sit and you could think, well, why is this happening? What do I need to learn from this experience of not moving forward? Sometimes you'd be surprised with the answers that you come up with. So the time may not be right, but take that outside energy. Right now, there's a lot of energy out there, and it could really propel you forward in a good way. So just instead of looking at that energy and saying, oh, this is happening, that's happening, I'm worried about my finances, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. Yes, those are legitimate things in most cases, but there's nothing you could do about it, really. So, what you do is take that energy and say, how could I harness that for my own good? Could I use it in my business? Could I use it in my writing? Could I use it in my career? How could I use it in my personal life? And then you're taking something and you're making something out of nothing. And I think there was a song about that. Air Supply did a song about that. They did it with regard to relationships, which you could also do it that way. But it goes to show that there is something to be said about taking energy, taking something outside yourself, bringing it into yourself and saying, how could I use this for my higher good and ultimately for everyone's higher good? So that's what I have to say.
And ultimately, the real, I know for me, what really excites me is influence impacting others. How do I influence or empower other people? Especially, I look around and I see, just like you said, that people are just not happy, and I'm naturally, organically, I'm happy. And so when you see people struggle with something that comes very easy for you, it's not that life is easy for people who are happy naturally. It's just that, you know, um, we go through challenges as well, but our perspective, is always on the positive side, and just like you said, on the opportunity side, not the objective, um, succumbing side. It's more of overcoming, just like you said, harnessing, grabbing hold of. Um, I'm not. I know Lulu always says she doesn't like weaknesses and threats, but I kind of, because they tell me those are signals to say, hey, you need to improve on the area, or hey, this is an area that needs addressing. So everyone has their own perspective. But the biggest reward that I have is when I see someone who is sad, happy. Oh my God, that just makes my day, for them to really enjoy the life that was gifted to them, the present, right? So, Stephanie, I'm going to move over to you and talk about what you do, what's on your mind in regards to the season shifting, and what have you been up to, and kind of share with people who are watching that
I, I think
perhaps want to know what you're doing, and perhaps want to to get some influence by you. So go right ahead, Stephanie.
Yep, I think my seasons are all mixed up. My cycle seems to think it's spring. I am in major growth mode. I'm like the teenager that my legs are hurting because my bones are growing so fast. I launched a new updated my website yesterday, www.writebysteph.com. Did some major improvements with that, made it just one page so that it makes my SEO better. Got some more action shots of me going on there. And I am also working on my next book that is going to come out next month. The devil's trying to keep me from doing it, but it's going to get done for next month. The dangers of AI in writing for journalism and creative writers. It's going to be an ebook only because I can tell right now this is something that's going to constantly have to be updated. That's part. I've been dragging my feet because there's new news every single day on the AI front. But it's like, you know what? It just means that people that aren't aware of the dangers need to know this much quicker what lies ahead of them. So I'm working on that. And if you are someone that would like to read the book for free and write me a review on Amazon or your favorite book site, you will, after you preview it for free, you will have to purchase it on at least Amazon to be able to leave your review. I don't know what the restrictions are on the other sites, but if you want to read it for free and then leave me a review and then buy it and review it, my email is writebysteph@gmail.com, WRITE. And, just be willing to learn. This, just because it's the end of the year and everyone's celebrating and everything, I know this is a super hard time of the year for me. It's 5 years ago next Tuesday that my dad died. So I always want to just slink out and hide from the world the last part of October, but I gotta push hard. The holidays do the same thing for me. Take advantage of if you're a loner or someone that doesn't have family, take advantage of these last couple months to get ahead on 2025. That's what I wrote about for my article this month. If you're not going out with families that or friends that controlling what you're eating at this time of year, start your lifestyle choices at this time, and then it takes 21 days to create a new habit. So by the time Thanksgiving rolls around, you're going to be into your new habits. By the time 2025 rolls around, you're probably going to have knocked a couple goals out of the ballpark already. So make these last months what they need to be for you. Don't worry about what society is wanting you to do. Do what you need to do.
Yeah. That's focus on what matters most, right? And you, it should be what matters most, because if you matter most and you do the self-love, you do the self-care, you do the self-focus that's necessary for you to then have the ability and the capacity to love on others. I love your approach. It's just like, get started right now, to make sure that you are disciplined and making it through the holidays. Thing with me going back to the U.S. I'll keep going at it. Going back to the US, I keep putting pounds on. And I had to tell my personal trainer, I said to him, I said, listen, I can't get started with you until I come back and I'm here for a minute. Coming back, then having to leave back out. And what I'm doing myself is disciplining, just like you said, disciplining myself in the next few days to at least drop whatever water pounds or and just restricting my eating and making sure I walk. So the beautiful thing out here is hot 24/7. So I can get the sweat a little bit with a walk. So that I am, just like you said, Stephanie, I'm doing what I need to do now so that when I get into the US, and the saving grace is I only will be there for a week. So when I get to the US, I am not gaining so much weight there. And we do put on a celebration time at this time of the year. Because remember, this is a harvest season, right? This where all that you've done through the year, this is the harvest season. So we're reaping the sowing. So we're reaping the harvest, and it's celebration time. So when it's celebration time, was surrounded by that eating, all the goodies, all the office parties, all the celebrations, all the events that are happening and different things like that. And before you know it, we start putting on pounds or we start losing our focus. Start conforming. We start doing what everybody tells us we should be doing. Come on, you don't need to. You're always working. You're always doing this, and you're right at the point of your breakthrough by getting things done, and then you go into a setback because you're not disciplining yourself enough to say no to some folks. And that goes with writing as well, and being an author and having the courage to do it. Discipline yourself enough to start the projects and finish the projects. And so, Stephanie, great. Excited about your website. I'm getting ready to go stalk your website. I'm sitting here saying, oh, there's maybe some content that Stephanie's not sending it to me that I can get from her website. Because you know that's what I do. I go and I stalk you guys. When you submit, if it ain't sexy enough for me, I'm going out there to look for you sexy. What's going on with Stephanie? What's going on? What other pictures can I grab? You know, what's out there in the world, social media world, that I can go grab and enhance how you appear in the magazine. So I'm glad. I love it when I hear new content is out there. I can go and grab it. We love content. I'm going to digress and let Lulu and then Tiffany share. It's just what is going on in this season that's happening. I just feel excitement. I know that the world out there is going through their turmoil, but for some reason in my spirit, I'm excited. I feel a sense of release. I feel a sense of elevation. I feel a sense of shackles being broken off of us, and us going into a new place. Those who have pressed through the mess to get to God's best. I believe that you're getting that breakthrough. That is coming. I just sense it. And so, Lulu, you're up.
Okay, had to get myself off mute there. First, thank you so much for continuing to have this platform for us to share with the world the things that are our giftings, and especially through our authoring and our writing. And I'm going to tap on to two things. I'm going to go to what Stephanie said. And she talked about the season. She knows what season she's in. If you listen to what she said, and this is what's so critical for us to know, we have to know what season we're in. And sometimes the season that we're in doesn't always align up with the season that somebody else is in, or maybe everybody else is in. And we can even see with the weather. On one coast, it may be spring or it may be fall like now across the world. But you know what? There are different temperatures and there are different things happening depending where you are, East Coast, West Coast, North, or South. And so knowing your season, there's that planting preparation Then there's the growth, the nurturing, and Marisa talked about that a little bit. And I do have a word that I substitute for weaknesses and threats, and it's developmental opportunities. So that's my word that I threw in there. So I say developmental
That's not words.
opportunities.
That's not a word. That's words,
I
you.
know. I know. But then I wouldn't be, this eccentric different person if I didn't do that. But we have to know what season we're in. If are we in that growth season, or are we in the harvest season? That's, as you said, reaping the rewards. Or you know what? Some of us may be in the rest season because we have to be focused and we have to take a minute to rest for what's coming in 2025. So, what I really want people to know is that know your season. Because if you know what season you're in, you know what to do in this season to go to your next level. The spiritual side, I love some of the things that Teresa said. And I'm going to tap on to that and give an example. So, biblically, there was a group of people called, and it was the children of Issachar. And this is found in the Old Testament in First Chronicles. And the scripture tells us that the children of Issachar, which were men that had an understanding, keyword understanding, of the times. Another keyword, times, to know what Israel ought to do. And that particular piece of them knowing, they had to know, okay, what are we supposed to be doing in this particular season? And so, just a little bit of background to add context so no one is like, okay, what the heck is she talking about? The children of Issachar knew that David was getting ready to reign as king. Okay, Saul's gone, and now David is getting ready to take the throne. And we know that there were some challenges and some things that were going on that were trying to prevent David from reigning as king. But the children of Issachar, they knew what season they were in. They knew what the times were, and they reacted accordingly. So I go back to saying, know what your season is. Because when we do the introspective work, when we meditate, when we seek for the answers from a higher place than ourselves, when we let go of ego, and sometimes, guess what? You have to let go of intellect for a moment so that intellect can align with spirit and what we are hearing from our heavenly creator. I say God, somebody may say Allah, somebody may say Adonai, somebody may say Yahweh. Listen, it's all covered. Whatever your faith is, it's all covered. But know that all of the brilliance and the intellect that you have, make sure that you're in alignment with that greater divine power so that it all comes in alignment and you knowing what your particular season is. And for many of us, we are in a reaping season because we're putting out all of this material. Everyone here, there's so much great material that is hitting the world. And there's a reason for that. And we now are in the reaping, some are in the reaping season of, okay, I am reaping the reward from the work that I put in. Because faith without works is dead. There is no magic hocus pocus. There's no sprinkling the fairy dust. I'm sorry. No, 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 no. Don't get caught up in that. There is no quick fix. There is no, okay, I'll get you $1 million in 90 days. Okay. You know what? Let me know how that works out for you. I just haven't been the one to have the quick fix. But I know that when I put the work in, I'm faithful and I stay in alignment. Because when we're in alignment, you know what season you're in. And here's the thing. If you're trying to reap when you're supposed to be planting or nurturing or pruning or cultivating or even resting, it all falls apart. It doesn't work. So that's why a lot of times we realize that we're spinning on ice. And all I would say again is know your season. I yield it back to you, Marisa.
Yeah, you're so right. And also too with the introspective work that's necessary for you to do, especially at this time of the year, because as Stephanie said, we're getting ready to be more around family and friends, more around people, external influences and conversations. It's football season, so now you're going to be around folks during football games and different things like that. And you have to know yourself. And even as authors of the work that you want to publish, you got to know what it is that you're writing. And time, make sure it has substance, validity. And so you want to make sure that you know. And I know firsthand as a self-publishing author, my first publication, I was very, first of all, I didn't know what to write, right? And so back then when I started, I had a coach. You had people telling you that the best book to write was a step book. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps to this and 6 steps to that. And if you step right over here, right over there, it's all of this stuff. And so when I first began to write, it was a struggle for me in the sense that because I come from different approaches. It's personal, it's professional, which is career, it's business. I'm all of that. I'm all of that combined. And so to have me speak in a language that's just corporate, it's not going to work. To have me speak in a language that's just entrepreneur, I have to have all of it because I'm well balanced. I am a balanced person. So you can't succeed in your career and your business if you don't have this right. It's going to manifest. It's going to spill over into the other, compartments of your life. And so initially it was a struggle. So I had to figure out how was I going to do this. And I did. And it wasn't until I was driving very, 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 very first book signing. Had the book in hand and I'm driving and, all of the excitement and the rush left and reality set in. Okay, Marisa, they're getting ready to read your book. You didn't just write this thing. They're getting ready to read this book. And it's just like, oh my God. So it hit me. So you have to have confidence in what you've written. You have to have, and don't overdo it. Don't stress yourself out. I had one person say, Marisa, did you have an editor for your book? And yeah, I did have an editor. She never explained why. And what I did learn from that was people will find the tiniest error and they will say something to you and never clarify what it is. And if you're careful, you will self-sabotage. You will self-doubt. You will plummet in your confidence because you may feel like you did not do a good job. And I'm going to say to you, this is so critical. If I don't say this enough, and then I'm going to pass it off to Tiffany to close us out strong with Unsnapped, because this is perfect for that. If you don't take the time to know thyself, it's so important. What Teresa says about the heart and mind, passion and intellect balance each other out so that you can be the true authentic self. And gut, you got to know your core values. You got to know who you are, what you're about, what makes you tick, what ticks you off, and what triggers you. You got to know this stuff. The reason why you have to know it is when coconuts come along and tell you, did anybody edit your book? with some dumb comment and don't follow through with full-fledged, bona fide, valuable feedback, that you will self-sabotage. So you have to know yourself, because people are going to come for you after you write. And you got to have the kahunas to stand behind what you've written. And nobody's perfect. I love T.D. Jakes' book. I see errors all the time. I see typos all the time, even when they come back through editors, even when they've gone through 3 and 4 washes of editing. No one sees everything, and no one's perfect. And I like how Romans 3:23 says, and it is my heart when I say, what the heck? And I love my girlfriend who gave me this wisdom. Consider the source, Marisa. Consider who's telling you this. Do the background check yourself. Romans 3 says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. None of us are perfect, basically. So know yourself so that you can alleviate the stress of unnecessary self-judgment, unnecessary stress, or how my girl says it, dis-ease of heart. No, so you can understand that. So I'm going to go over here because Tiffany is working on that in the midst of all of this, that you maintain your character. And so I'm going to digress and let Tiffany share with you all that she's working on in her season.
Man, you know what? I got to figure out sometimes what season I'm in as well, because I heard Stephanie say, you're bouncing in between seasons. And Lulu, I hear you when you're bouncing in seasons. Sometimes you fall a little short, but you know what? Sometimes you have to bounce in certain, in and out of stuff. I'm a Gemini, so I bounce in and out of stuff very, very well. Okay. But the thing is, you have to stay focused on what Marisa just said. What makes you tick and what ticks you off, right? What is it that brings you to that edge, and how do you work through it? How do you do what Teresa does and tap into the heart to make sure that you just bring just everything down? Let's go ahead and just bring the heart rate down so we can bring the blood pressure down, so we don't just bust, a gasket, right? So it's really just finding that flow. And what I'm doing right now is we are updating our Girl Powerhouse website. So we're adding Unsnapped on that. And in this season, instead of just working with the women, which I love sharing women's stories, we've got 3 amazing books, Becoming a Girl Powerhouse, Volume 1, 2, and 3 out there, 45 women sharing stories from trauma to triumph. And it's amazing. But now it's time to really share stories from men and women, because guess what? We all have different perspectives. Men tend to be, a little more logical sometimes, and women sometimes are a little more emotionally driven. It is what it is. So why not figure out how to stay unsnapped? And let me tell you what unsnapped means. It means understanding necessary solutions needed to apply positive principles, ending destruction.
Amen.
And that's our own destruction, right? So tap in right now in this season. Tap in and make sure that you just know who you are, and again, what makes you tick, because you don't want to get ticked off. Right now, we're going to start seeing people going into these stores and whatnot. We got Black Friday coming, and what happens on Black Friday? People fighting, people shooting. They're doing all sorts of just madness. So my message to everyone right now, again, is just to tap into yourself, tap into the mind and the heart, and really give yourself grace and give other people grace around you, because this is a hard time. Stephanie, I'm sorry for your loss. I also lost my father as well. And this is a very hard time sometimes. So anyone out there that's dealing with, a loss and feeling some of that loneliness, just make sure that you do find an outlet, and that outlet might be a book. grab a book that's going to just open up your mind and help you, to get to that other side as well. So, Marisa, I just want to thank you so much for just having this platform for us to be able to share our brilliance and be able to invite others in to be able to share their brilliance as well. Y'all can tap into me if you want to write your book, you want to come and share a story of being unsnapped. Definitely reach out to me at phoenixfitnessfanaticsmagazine.com, or you can go to thegirlpowerhousenetwork.com and you can check us out as well. So thank you again, Marisa.
Awesome. Well, listen, this has been an amazing 30 plus minutes. Love everybody and where you're at. It's so nice to tap in and let everyone know where we are as professionals and the things that we do, so that they know that we're relatable. We know the challenges that are out there. We know the concerns, the undercurrent of self doubt. We know that we're not we know how to overcome it and move forward. So just want to say thank you, ladies, for being with me in the Author's Corner. Thank you so very much. And just like Tiffany said, if you are interested in writing your books, you can reach out to her. You can also reach out to Stephanie, Teresa. You can reach out to Lulu. They all have their own approaches, business, services, products, goods, all of that other stuff that will help you make it to the finish line and finish strong. And as Tiffany said, stay unsnapped. Take care, be blessed. We're out of here.